Hi, I'm LiLi Joy, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Tell me about the creative process behind this EP and what was it like working with your producer for it?
Yeah, well, it was a really long process for a lot of these songs just because a lot of them are written like over like 2 years ago, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, my producer John and I, like, we've really worked together to try to like combine our like life experiences that we have had within the last like few years and like just like trying to find like a middle ground in between with the production and like with the lyricism and everything. So I don't know, everything has just kind of like been a combined effort of the two of us. So yeah, I think that's gonna really like show through all the songs. So
Now, talk to me about your most current single, "Float," which is off of the EP. So, what was the creative process behind this song? Like, what inspired you to make it?
I actually wrote this when I was like 14, and I had just started dating my current boyfriend. And I don't know, it was like the end of middle school, and like everybody kind of gets like picked on at the end of middle school because it's 8th grade and like nobody likes each other. And so I don't know, it was just like I was writing this song being like, knowing he was so insecure and knowing that we were going through this hard time in our life, and I was like, I really like everything about you, even if you don't like it about yourself. And like that's just kind of like where the whole song stemmed from. And it's like taken so many different forms. Like it used to be called like Pink and Blue Feathers, and then it used to be called Pompeii. And so yeah, I don't know. So it was written a long time ago, and that was kind of the inspiration for it.
So, where does that maturity level come in? Because I definitely wasn't writing something like that when I was 14. Like, I wasn't even talking like that when I was 14.
Well, in 8th grade, I was actually homeschooled. I was homeschooled for my 8th grade and my freshman year. And so kind of, I guess, being alone, there's something about being alone a lot that just makes you think more. And I think it made me kind of like just want to write these things and get them out onto paper somehow. Because I wasn't really, talking to other people about it. So I think that's kind of where it came from at that point in time.
So you wrote these when you were 14, and then you started working with your producer, John. When did this collaboration kind of happen between the two of you? And like, how did you guys like start working?
I met him through Rockstars of Tomorrow, which is like a music studio where like kids can come in and learn instruments and learn different skills and stuff like that. And I was just looking for like a songwriting teacher kind of to help me develop like my songwriting process, because I had all these lyrics but I didn't know how to finish songs. And so I actually met him through there, and he was just like, I guess, doing it as like kind of like a side job to like make extra money. And so he was like, yeah, I can help you out. And then from there we just started, like, he started doing the producing and I would just bring him in songs and stuff like that, and we just kind of like started working together through there. So yeah.
So what was that first time that you introduced your music to him? Because like you said, you knew how to write, but you didn't know how to like finish a song. So what was that like first interaction?
Yeah, so I showed up to the first lesson and I was like really nervous because there's something about sharing your like creativity with someone else that's like so scary if you've never like given it to anyone else before, because you're like, oh crap, they're gonna think it's so stupid, like why am I saying this out loud? And so yeah, I had my big like book where I kind of like draw and like write all my lyrics in, and I brought it in, and we kind of looked through it, and I don't know, it just like, it went really well for the first time, and it was just like immediately we started like kind of vibing with each other, and like we realized that we would end up like working really well together. So it was just kind of like instantly like we became very good friends, so it was fun.
So you mentioned earlier with Float, it had different names before. Did it have different different lyrics back, also back in the day, or is it the same song that you first wrote?
Yeah, there was one, so when it was called Pompeii, I actually had written some of it in Italian, and I don't honestly know why, but that was just like some idea I had. So yeah, it was like partially in Italian when it was in Pompeii, and like the chorus was like something like get away, I don't know, something random like that. But and then Pink and Blue Feathers, it was most of the previous ones were based off of like chorus lyrics that I had written. But yeah, it's taken like a lot of different like lyrical forms, and then I finally figured out how I wanted to present it, and like that's the final version that we have now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how would you say like creating this EP, like that experience was like for you?
It was an eye opener, honestly, because I think beforehand I obviously had never made like a full project or anything like that. So I realized kind of what I liked doing as far as songwriting, because I didn't really know whether I liked making the lyrics first or making the song first, you know. But I kind of found my own songwriting process through it, and I realized like how many hours it really takes to put everything together, and like it really opened me up to like a whole new way of like creating things. Yeah.
So recently I got to experience being in the studio with my friend's daughter, who she's 11 and she's like already recording music. But while, you know, in between recording her tracks, while the producer is like, or the producer, while the producer's like mixing the tracks, she's, you know, sitting on the couch, not even listening to her own music. She's just like drawing or like thinking of like a cake recipe to do when she gets home. What are you like when you're in the studio?
I'm a total control freak. So I am like the complete opposite of that. So like if he is working on the track at all, like we're both always side by side in chairs, and I'm like, I don't like this sound. I don't like how it's modulating. I'm very, very precise with everything. And like, if I knew how to do it myself, I would probably be the one doing it, but I have no idea how to do any of that. And I have no experience in it, but
Well, you're still young and you can still learn it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do by being like very like upfront and involved in everything, is like I'm watching him use all of his programs, like I'm watching him, and he teaches me at the same time. So I don't know, I'm very, very like hands-on and involved, because I just want everything to kind of be wrapped up the way that it is in like my mind, you know?
Right. So talk to me about the sounds in this EP, like the instrumentation. Is that something that you already had in your mind, or did he kind of step in and tell you like, hey, this guitar would sound good here, or like these strings would sound better there?
I think it was kind of like half and half. Like I had already, especially for Float, I had like a very clear vision of what I wanted for it. And it did change a little bit along the way, just like using his suggestions and stuff like that. So I think it's always been kind of like half and half. Like I have the original like kind of idea of what I want it to sound like, and then he helps me like polish it and refine it and like make it something that other people are going to enjoy as well. Right. So like, yeah, it's kind of, you know, give and take.
So in the beginning, you didn't know how to finish a song. So do you feel like you now conquer that, or is that something that you're still trying to figure out as you write new material?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've gotten it down pretty well. I think now that I've learned that for myself, I work better when I'm doing like, when I'm writing a melody and doing lyrics at the same time. I've learned that over time, so I think now I'm able to finish songs faster. But I still do have times where like I'll sit down and just write a poem, like poems and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, I want to make this into a song, but I like have no idea. So yeah, I'm still learning, but I think I definitely have like grown a lot in that respect for sure.
Right. So about this EP, like what's the title for the EP, and like when can fans expect it?
The title for the EP is Colors You Can't See, and it's going to be coming out on August 14th.
Now, is there like a meaning behind that name? Is it a lyric in one of your songs maybe?
Yeah, so it's actually part of a lyric from Float. It's I can see all the cracks in your concrete. To me, they look pretty neat, rainbow colors that you just can't see. So like I don't know, I really love that lyric. Like that's like the one that sticks home to me. So I just wanted to make it the title, because to me, like, colors you can't see are like the emotions that you wouldn't really tell anybody else about, like the feelings you wouldn't tell anyone else about, but they help give you inspiration for the things that you do like in your whole life, you know? So you kind of have to give them like a little bit of credit, and that's kind of like what I did, is I took the colors that people couldn't see before, and I put them into my music and stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the idea for the title.
That's awesome. Now, earlier this year, you got to partake in this last season of The Voice, where you got to work with Blake Shelton. Did you get to learn something out of that, like from collaborating with him, or from him like coaching you while you were in the season?
Yeah, 100%. Like he one thing that he had pointed out was like some really unique things about my voice. And like I realized when he had been pointing them out that I'm like, hey, I should be making sure that like I highlight these in my songs when I'm recording them, because apparently like that is a cool thing. Like, you know, finding my strengths and my weaknesses to kind of like use them to my advantage. So yeah, I think that was like a really big thing I learned. And I also learned that like practicing can like change your life, because I did not practice that much, but when you're about to go on that show and you're practicing like every day, like 5 times a day, your skills can like go through the roof. So yeah, those 2 things were the biggest things for me, for sure.
So now that, you know, the EP will drop really soon, you've already experienced like performing in front of a massive amount of people. So can we expect some shows for you, like now that the EP will drop?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to try and figure out a way to like do some better shows, because honestly for me, like my whole life I've always just done like favors. Like I usually will just do like more like charity events and like things like that other people are just kind of like, hey, we need someone to do something for it, you know. But that's like kind of the next step for me, is like I want to find ways to like make shows for people and stuff like that. But I'll figure that out later this year somehow. But yeah, I'm hoping for that.
Well, for those that are not familiar with you, like what is it about music that you want this to be your career path? I mean, you're young, you could still have other options, but it seems like you're very serious about music.
I think it's definitely the release of like my emotions and stuff like that, and the feeling that like I can give people that sense of like, hey, somebody else actually feels the same way that I do. You know, just like really digging into like emotions that people don't think about in their everyday lives. I think that was like the part of it that really like catches my attention. So that's kind of why I think I want to stick with music, was because it just makes me happy seeing other people like feel like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to sit with me and talk to me. You guys, be sure to check out LiLi Joy. Check out her new single, Float. It's out now. Thanks for watching on Front Row Live.